Hey guys, Monsengan here, bringing you a Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video. And so today, while we are still waiting patiently for the reveal and the proper info on the new cards, I thought it would be an interesting idea for a video with how much of a meme that this unit still is and the new memes that are coming out for the new Goku and Vegeta. I thought it'd be interesting to see what will happen if we use the Saiyans Without Limits themselves, the AGL Goku and Vegeta from the Future Saga Worldwide a couple of years ago, here on a current team. Now, obviously, they do get the full 220% leader skill from the Tech Vegito unit. So, I don't have a great links on this turn, unfortunately. So, we're probably just going to have to start off like this. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how we go. We got 300k defense start of turn. So like I said, they are getting the full leader skill. Now these guys, obviously they're a couple of years old, so we don't expect them to be, you know, anything super crazy, but we can take a look here. Obviously their 12 key super infinitely stacks attack, does colossal damage. Their 18 key infinitely stacks defense, does mega colossal damage. And then of course we have the intro animation as long as we have another Future Saga character on the team. So I've put the Sword of Hope Trunks on here. He also gets the full 220 because he actually is an Earth Protecting Heroes character. That Future Saga requirement for their passive obviously is something that kind of hurts them, like it hurt them in the long run when the other Future Saga characters started to drop off, because then even if they were still relatively usable, you have to have this ally with them in order to get the entrance animation, which gives them an extra 100% defense for 4 turns and guard for 4 turns, which obviously is pretty important. So then their base effects, 3 key attack and defense 100%, 2 extra key per type key sphere obtained. When there's a Realm of Gods enemy, which there is, attack and defense 50%, attacks effective against all types. And then as the first attacker in the turn, they get an extra 150% defense and a high chance to dodge. Second or third attacker in the turn, they get extra 100% attack, 50% defense, and an additional attack that has a high chance to become a super. And if we get 20 or more key, they get an additional super attack. Now, obviously one of the big things for them very early on was the fact that, like, people were not very impressed with their attack stats. I know that was one of the big memes. It's like my reaction to that information, and it's like the picture of their attack stat being like 1 million or something, wherever it was. But that was their 12 key, and it's in slot 1. Like, obviously we just went through their passive. They don't get any real extra attack if you're putting them in slot 1. They're supposed to be a defensive unit in slot 1. And there you go, you can see they're 3.6 million on a 220 lead team, right? When we got 2 links active and no support, so it's nothing like particularly crazy. But the thing is, on release, like, whilst their attack stats weren't crazy, like, they were a unit that you could run their team, put them in slot 1, and a lot of the time they're either going to be dodging like that right there, and then of course they are guarding for the first few turns. So I mean, here realistically in this setup on this team in this event, this is the Goku story red zone version of the Future Saga stage. That super attack from Goku Black, we've got guard, so type disadvantage doesn't really matter too much, but probably would be a one-shot, you know, with these guys. They get a little bit of extra defense. We did get the 18 key super. Obviously they get the extra stacking of attack from doing their 12 key, and getting the 20 key obviously gives them the extra additional. I'm just going to bring up the stats for the event here, because I do want to double check how much that Goku Black does actually hit for with his super attack, the Tech 1 phase 1. It's only 1 mil, and he doesn't, okay, yeah, he doesn't raise attack on super or anything. So, I mean, with guard as well, and with their defense, they actually probably wouldn't die to that, because it is only 1 million. But yeah, Sword of Hope Trunks obviously is a unit that was definitely not like the greatest release from that worldwide as well. Vegeta has way more defense on the first turn here, although I don't know if there's any of that coming from links with Trunks. It is not. So I always forget for these guys, like for 3 turns he's got guard and the extra defense. It doesn't really matter which one of them is in slot 1 on the first turn, really. So we'll do this just for the sake of the Vegeta having the extra defense, and then we'll grab those for you. Trunks is only on the team obviously because we have to have a Future Saga ally. So that's the interesting thing with Future Saga getting a load of buffs in this upcoming celebration. I don't know if it's. I don't think it's necessarily going to be something that makes the Blue Boys runnable again, but at least there will be viable future Saga characters. Because the problem is with these guys is they're not going to get an easy A like anytime soon, right? If you think about the order, I know they've done units out of order a few times, but you think about like, you know, these guys were the worldwide, and then they were the worldwide after the STR Final Form Cooler and Tech Carnival Goku. And those guys haven't easy A'd yet. If anything, we could see their easy A's during this celebration, even though it doesn't really fit the theme. They could be like the EX part easy A's or something like that, maybe. Just because of timing, like the anniversary around like July time is sort of where they've easy A'd worldwide celebration characters before. Which would be really cool. Obviously, depending on what like Goku Black and Zamasu's leader skill is going to be, and whoever the part 2, assuming part 2 is going to have an extreme unit as well. Because remember, the last Future Saga worldwide that these guys came from, we had Vegito and Zamasu in part 1, and then part 2 was Trunks and then Future Gohan. So we only got one extreme class for the headliner units, which people were very disappointed with. So hopefully that won't be the case. And whether part 2 is still future or if it is something else related, we will get an extreme and a superclass character. And hopefully, you know, whatever their leads are going to be, Cooler will end up on one of their teams and then obviously be in a good spot for getting an easy A. Because, like, the Goku's going to be fine regardless, right? With all the different categories, I put out the video earlier today, all the different categories that the Goku and Vegeta reversible exchange cards are on, like, gives them so much potential for their leader skills. And Goku's on so many categories, like a Super Saiyan Goku is going to be on a ton of teams, right? So Carnival Tech Goku getting an easy A, like he's going to be able to slot into a bunch of teams anyway. But with Goku Black and Zamasu specifically, they don't share a lot of categories with Final Form Cooler. So maybe we will have to rely on the part 2. Obviously with getting an easy A, like Cooler will still have his own leader skill and still be like a 200% lead. So maybe his team can see a bit of a resurgence as well, potentially. But it'd be cool to see those guys easy A. I mean, as I can say, this Tech Goku Black doesn't do a lot of damage. His normal attacks only do 400k. So with the guard still up, obviously the Blue Boys here tanking for double-digit damage. At least there's that. At least we're not jumping into the event and they're immediately getting demolished by normal attacks straight away from the first phase. The problem here is going to be, as it always has been with this unit, and I made a video about this the other day, right, saying that Dokkan needs to not repeat this mistake when it comes to active skills, which is kind of funny in hindsight, because the whole point of that video was talking about making the fusion or transformation conditions more achievable for these characters so that we actually get to see the fusions. And then, of course, they've now put out the information that the Goku and Vegeta don't actually properly fuse into Vegito Blue. It's only for their active skill attack. And then the same with Rose and Zamasu with Fusion Zamasu, which I still think is very weird. I mentioned this in a video already, and I'm sure I'll mention it multiple more times. But the fact that, like, we know that Goku and Vegeta unfuse, it literally happens in the fight with, like, Vegito Blue versus Zamasu. But the whole point of Fusion Zamasu is that they can't ever unfuse. So it's an interesting design choice, I guess you could call it, for Dokkan to have that be a thing that happens, that they fuse as like an active skill and then just unfuse, when obviously that's the thing that can't happen in the like the lore of the, however you want to call it, right, of the show. Like, that it doesn't work like that, which is a bit odd, but I guess we'll see how it all pans out. We had some funny conversations about it on the stream. Like, imagine part of the animation, which would be hilarious because you see it like every single time you use their active skill, which is only once per event, I guess. Imagine the active skill is like they fuse into Fusion Zamasu, do their attack animation, and then all of a sudden, like, Sword of Hope Trunks appears and cuts them in half, and then they just, that's why they go back into being Zamasu and Rose. Because, yeah, realistically, in terms of what we saw in the show and everything, it doesn't really make sense for them to unfuse. So it being an active skill is a bit weird, but like I've said before, right, I'm not too fussed about them not fusing. As long as the cards are good, we'll find out all that information on the stream that's coming out. It's early Sunday morning for me, technically. It'll be 3 AM UK time, so be staying up late for that one. We'll watch it live and then obviously do a quick breakdown video for afterwards. But very much looking forward to seeing what the cards are going to do. Really interested because I mentioned it in the video earlier as well. I seriously obviously tweeting out that reply, essentially confirming that it is going to be the Dokkan Fest and then Carnival format. So I'm really interested to see which one is which and what their leader skills are. Because hopefully for like villain teams and stuff like that, overall in general, extreme teams, it'll be much more beneficial for Goku Black and Zamasu to have the Dokkan Fest style leader skill format, rather than them just having one leader skill that's like 220. They could still get a decent one. I talked about it in that video earlier. Again, check it out if you haven't seen it. We went over a bunch of different stuff for like the leader skill options. But if they get something like Future Saga, it'll just be really like that doesn't work exactly for like, it's not like an extreme team, because in that kind of setup, you know, we're going to be running Goku Black and Zamasu's, but then you can't throw in like other villains on that setup because they've all got to be Future Saga. The only thing that does is in the future, if we get new versions of like 17 and 18, like the future versions, if they get a reversible exchange, then they could be on the team. But anyway, so here we have the awkward situation, of course, that comes along with this unit whenever you use them, which is that we are now at turn 5. So these guys do not have guard anymore. And they've also lost out on the extra 100% attack and defense, 100% defense that they would have for 4 turns. But we are not below 70% HP, so we can't fuse into Vegito Blue. So there's a couple of different things we could do. They still have the dodge chance in slot 1. They still have 424k. They do have type advantage over this Zamasu. But the problem is he does 2.8 million damage with his super attack. So if he super attacks them in slot 1 and they don't dodge, then I think they do have a fairly high possibility that they're just going to die. We could get the Tech Vegito out here, but then obviously that doesn't help us lose HP either in terms of actually trying to get these guys to fuse. So I think what we'll do, we got Trunks in slot 3 as well, who's not the best defensively. So I'm going to go ahead and use the item here, get a little bit of damage reduction on the go, just in the hopes that that is going to, yeah, we've not got great key here either. I might switch to Vegeta just to get the, just have that little bit of better defense there. And then, yeah, the Whis kind of helps out Trunks at the end as well. Because we should still tank normals fine, yeah. Okay. Because, yeah, his normals do like 1 million, and they've already got 500,000 defense and type advantage already anyway. But yeah, this is where it's tricky, because in some of these new, like, difficult events, the events that we would call the hardest ones that we have at the moment in the meta, a lot of the time, like, dropping below 70% HP is you're either spending most of the event almost on full HP, or someone takes a super and you drop, like, fairly, like, dangerously low. And then on that next turn, ideally through character abilities or picking up same type orbs or anything like that, you're able to heal up a pretty significant amount. So having that very specific moment of this where it's like the start of that specific turn, you are at 70% or less HP. Man, look at that. Trunks getting 1 super. The run saving dodge. But yeah, taking 160k from a normal. It's pretty brutal. But even then, we've only dropped to 81% HP. So we still can't get the fusion here. All we can really do is not pick up same type orbs and just hope that like somebody takes some damage. But the thing is, everyone on this rotation is fairly tanky. Well, actually, I guess to be fair, Goku in slot 2, if he takes a super, would probably take fairly reasonable damage. But yeah, this has always been the biggest problem with this character, and why I made that video talking about them doing better with these like active skills. Because as you guys have heard me say many times before, when you have these transformations or special abilities, any kind of active skill really, locked to like being at a certain amount of HP or less, it almost feels like you're being punished for like doing too well. You know, it's like you get to turn 5 with the blue boys, it's like, oh well, you didn't lose any HP so far, so you can't fuse into Vegito Blue, but you've also lost 100% defense and guard, but you don't get the benefit, which is why they definitely, I think, learned from that mistake when they made the Super Saiyan 3 Goku from the 10th anniversary, where he has the dodge chance and like defense for 5 turns and then can transform on turn 5, but he has the opportunity to transform early if you're on low HP. And that's the better way of doing it, because you never get to the point like you do with the blue boys where their defensive ability runs out, but you haven't met the condition for them to transform. And so then in some situations, especially if you're in an event where, you know, you get to turn 5 and you're facing a tech enemy, you've then lost that defense, lost that guard, and you can't transform. So it can be certainly very awkward. But I mean, they've done relatively well in this run so far, to be fair, in terms of like dodging most things. I don't want to use the other Whis, but fortunately, I guess the thing is, you have to survive that one turn, which is what the item is good for, because I do forget about the fact that their follow-up is then you can transform on turn 7, as long as you have a Future Saga ally or enemy. So bear in mind, Trunks isn't on the rotation, so if we weren't doing this specific event where we have a Future Saga enemy, we still wouldn't be able to transform on this turn, right? But since we can, let's go ahead and actually fuse into Vegio Blue. So something that the new unit is not going to do, at least permanently. We're still going to have the fusion. It'll be. We saw a snippet of the animation. I don't know how much of it is the same as this one, or if it is just like different angle, different. I know it's like you see a close up of like the Goku Vegeta, and then the two of them like merging. And then obviously Vegio appearance is like more face on than that sort of side on angle. But yeah, Vegio Blue, once he comes out, can still be pretty fun. Key 5, attack and defense 250, 2 keeper, extra orb obtained, attacks effective against all types, 30% damage reduction before he attacks. As the first attacker, he has 20% damage reduction, high chance to dodge, additional attack that has a high chance to become a super. Second or third attacker, he has the additional super attack and a medium chance of launching another additional super attack. And then when activating the active skill or attacking with 20 or more key, he gets another additional super attack. So he can do quite a lot of attacks. And then his active skill, which can be activated when HP is 50% or less, or facing one enemy whose HP is 50% or less, does damage to the enemy, ultimate damage, and then it gives him guaranteed dodge for like the whole turn, which is pretty good. Now, considering we've got, like, Zamasu's got basically no HP here, we're just going to go ahead and do this, because I want to save the Gogeta active skill turn for this guy for potentially the next turn to see what he can do. So let's see what happens here. Okay, dodges the super. I mean, that's the thing that can happen, and this is one of those things that makes characters like this kind of interesting when it comes to them aging, is characters that have a certain percent chance to dodge, whether it's 50 or 70 or whatever it is, right? Like, there's always going to be those times where you run them and the RNG just goes your way and they just dodge, like, all of the attacks. Like, so far up until this point, the Blue Boys have done pretty well in terms of dodging most of the attacks. And obviously this is the Vegio. Like, his animations I still think are very good for this blue Vegio. So yeah, like, he's pretty cool once he comes out. Obviously, where we are in the meta now, multiple years later, obviously he's dropping attack stats that are not what we would want to see from, you know, headliner Dokkan Fest exclusives. But he's quite old, doesn't have his EZA yet. There's a lot of potential for this unit, like, for their EZA to be good. I think they need to learn from that mistake, similarly to what they've done with the Great Ape Goku, because they can't change his active skill condition, but what they can do is give him, like, from the intro, give them that guard for longer. So if you get to the point where, you know, it's turn 5, you're not on low enough HP to fuse, they still have guard. Otherwise, you know, they could potentially get taken down quite severely. Alright, so I think what we'll do here for this turn, let's go ahead and use the active skill for Beast. Just have all the attacks focused on him. And then let me turn the animations off here for now, because we want to go ahead and probably pop the standby for Trunks as well. And then we can just go ahead and grab all these. I have to use the Sword of Hope, like, when he comes back, but that's fine. So yeah, just go ahead and do that. Because obviously Trunks is one of those more... There's very few of them, I think. I'm trying to think if there is actually a different one other than Trunks as well, where he does actually attack while he's in his standby. Because, yeah, I mean, that's an interesting thing to think about for the other characters in the Global Dokkan campaign. Because we know, essentially, both of these Part 1 units are reversible exchange. And we know from what we've been told like what their active skills do. So it'll be interesting to see what the characters in Part 2 are and whether they come along with any of these things like standbys and domains. We haven't had a domain, we haven't had a superclass domain unit in seemingly forever. So that could be something that would be very interesting, but I guess we have to wait and see. So Beast Gohan, we got the taunt active. He's just taking all these hits, tanking them nicely. 26 mil. I think mine only has one dupe, so that's pretty good. Taking all those hits, building up that crit chance. It's either 1 or 2. I only got the 1 copy of him during the 9th anniversary, and then I think I got a dupe with coins when he came back. It was available to get. So still need a couple more copies of him. Wouldn't be surprised if the 9th anniversary units are on the banners for the Global Dokkan campaign as well. Hopefully the 10th anniversary units are on there though. That's the big thing, because the whichever one is the Dokkan Fest, them potentially having like Tech Vegito on the banner is going to be pretty good. So sort of hope Trunks at 15 mil. Again, this guy's, you know, a couple of years old now, so it's not completely terrible. But he's always been one of these awkward units where if he just gets a bunch of additional normals, he doesn't build up a bunch of defense and he can get absolutely destroyed. So fortunately, he's got the coverage of Beast Gohan on this turn. So we don't have to worry too much about that. Alright, so let's see. What shall we do? We got Vegito. If we put him in slot 2, he will do multiple extra attacks. So considering how much of a boost like Gogeta's active skill gives everybody. Oh wait, no, it's... Yeah, we got to be on Vegeta to fuse into Gogeta, don't we? So let's go ahead and fuse into Gogeta here. Then we're going to use his active skill. So we get some damage off there. But then everybody gets the massive buff to both attack and defense. So that puts Vegito Blue at 900. That's not bad, actually, to be fair. The fact that he's almost at 1 million defense. He doesn't get any extra defense in slot 2 though, does he? He just gets extra supers. We didn't really look at his super attack effects, but he greatly raises for both, which is pretty good. Gotenks also gets a ton of extra as well, so we can go ahead and use his active skill here, which gives him even more defense, and then we do even more damage. And then, yeah, I mainly just want to see this Vegito Blue turn. We can probably end it off here. I don't want the video to be super long, and obviously I picked this stage thematically because it's going to be another Future Saga celebration. Not really realising that, of course, it does help us with that fusion condition because we have a Future Saga enemy. But obviously Rose and Zamasu in this final phase have a ton of HP, so it could take absolutely forever. I mean, this turn we are going to do a lot of damage because of the Gogeta active skill buffing everybody. You know, my Gotenks has 2 dupes and is doing like a 33 million additional 12 key super, so that's pretty good. And yeah, he should eat this. Is this a Key Blast super? It is, surely it is, right? Yeah, it is. There's the counter. Because yeah, I mean, it's like he basically never... This Tech Gotenks just doesn't take damage from Key Blast supers, and you get the counter. So Vegito's at 15.7. It's kind of crazy when you think about how ridiculously high numbers like Gogeta can make other units hit with his active skill turn. And then yeah, this Vegito Blue still only hitting like 15, and then the additional 11. I mean, it's not terrible overall if he does a bunch of additional attacks, because he's greatly raising each time. So there's the third one. We're up to 11.8. So he's done what, like 37-ish million so far already. And then if we do get another one here, we get an additional normal. Get one more super? Nope. So yeah, it's about 37 million from like 3 attacks, which obviously is nothing crazy. It'll be very interesting to see what the new Blue Boys attack stats are and how much damage that Vegito Blue active skill actually does. Because obviously there's Gogeta with the 30 mil just straight up. And remember, he doesn't get buffed by his own active skill. So drop in the 30 mil, and then we get the additional 28. Yeah, the AGL Gogeta is so good. Hopefully, like I say, these guys will be coming back because they'll be available for the first time. It's been 6 months since their release. With them now having the 2 big anniversary level campaigns of the year being 6 months apart, it makes perfect sense that that's when the units would then return again. Because otherwise, the 10th anniversary units wouldn't return realistically until, like, I guess maybe the Tanabata, but like the 11th anniversary. So hopefully they should be on these next banners. So we can probably end it off there. In fact, we probably can just go ahead and use the fusion here from Vegito, use the active skill, probably just be GG. So I've never actually thought, can you use, I guess one just overwrites the other one. So I've never had them both on the same rotation. Imagine you fuse both of them into Vegito and use the active skills. It would just waste one of them, right? Because only one character can be targeted with the target ability. That would be a hilarious fumble to like accidentally do that. Transform into, yeah, we got the Dokkan attack with Vegito, and it's going to be the counters all over the place turn. So yeah, I imagine, I did say we'd end off the video with that last Vegito blue turn, but I feel like this is just going to be the last turn anyway, right? And that is why Tech Vegito is such a ridiculous unit and is still considered the best unit in the game, because there's not many other units in the game that have a turn like this, where we've got the target ability, so we're protecting the entire team. We're going to do our super attack here. Obviously it's the Dokkan attack, so it's going to do a little bit of extra damage. Then we're going to do at least one extra one of these Kamehamehas as well. He's also got type advantage in this phase, so bear that in mind, the fact that we are doing that extra little bit of damage. Because even when characters have effective against all types and stuff like that, obviously by being an tech unit, he has those nodes in his hidden potential, the like type attack, right? So he just does more damage against AGL units regardless. It's why characters with guard will still take slightly less damage from characters they have type advantage over, because whilst guard gives them that ability, they have those hidden potential nodes where they're taking less damage from the typing that they have advantage over. So, but yeah, remember, of course, every time Vegito gets hit, his attack power goes up. So by the time we get to the end of the turn, these counters could be doing some pretty silly damage. And these guys do attack quite a lot during the space of one turn. But yeah, either way, we're probably not going to get to see Vegito Blue again. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Obviously, this unit is notorious for being just a massive meme. The Saiyans without limits, and then putting out those kind of attack stats. Every single, even to this day without fail, every live stream event that they do now where they're going to show off new units or anything like that, you go to the link. I mean, you can go to the link now for the Dokkan Now that's going to be coming out in like, I think I've actually got it open here. It's live in 34 hours. Oh yeah, but the chat's not live yet until it gets a little bit before. I was going to say, because the one for the other units is literally, the chat is just full of people saying we Saiyans have no limits, because this unit has become such a huge meme. So hopefully the new Blue Goku Vegeta will be able to reclaim that reputation a little bit. And well, I mean, the thing is, we've now got the we Saiyans have no fusion meme because they don't properly fuse into Vegito Blue. But as long as the card is good, like I said, I'm okay with there being no fusion. But yeah, there you go. We're just having a quick look back at the AGL Blue Boys, the legendary unit that lives on even now as a meme. I mean, we used that item. We didn't even really need it on that turn because I think they dodged everything except for like one normal. And then because we had a future enemy, we were actually able to transform. So I know this event isn't the hardest stage in the game or anything, but they made it through on the Vegito team. A lot of support from the 10th anniversary LRs, of course, but we made it through. So let me know what you guys think down below. Are you looking forward to the new units? Let me know all your thoughts on the upcoming Global Dokkan campaign headliners down below. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.